Hey everyone, welcome back to Frame by Frame by Nikon Middle East. We're here at Xposure 2024. Frame by Frame, we talk to renowned photographers from all around the world for tips and tricks and techniques. Today, I'm joined by Dilip Anthakad, renowned wildlife photographer all the way from the Masai Mara. We're going to talk about his journey in photography and particularly how he combines photography with conservation. So first of all, Dilip, thank you very much and welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure meeting you, Andy, here.
No, the pleasure's all mine. Dilip, perhaps you can talk us through your journey into how you got into photography and how you've arrived at where you are today. So I'm interested in how you first started.
I had some fascination for the photography, like 99, and I started learning from that time for almost 5 years. Till 6 years, 2005, I picked up my first camera. So I spent almost an hour dedicated for that throughout that period. And we had some good groups I connect with in US based, like photographer Tom Hagen and Maurice, so they would learn from that technical group a lot in that 6 years time. Then after picking up the camera, I never managed to look back anywhere and continued the journey where I am now.
Amazing. You said something really important there. It was when you first started in photography, you started with some friends and a community. And I think that's something that Nikon has really embraced, especially Nikon Middle East, is that community aspect of photography. Is that something you've found as well with Nikon?
Yeah. It's very important for any photographer, budding photographer, to connect with the right community. Because social media, many are misled by the social media. They take photos for the social media, posting, sharing, and likes, and that will not help you to grow. Whereas you are able to connect with the knowledge, with the community, with the technical knowledge. That's where your real growth starts. You need to always ask for critical comments. That's where one can grow. And community experts needed for that one. So it's everyone's responsibility. Once you reach that stage, you need to help others.
100%. No, I think the biggest mistake any photographer can make is only to focus on what they see down the viewfinder. You have to. It can be a very lonely pastime if you just do things by yourself. But joining in communities and coming to events like this at Xposure, meeting different people and networking with different people, that's the way you learn, I guess.
Yeah, it's and when you like this makes broaden. Otherwise you see very limited work, medical works mostly, or your friend circle work in social media. But here you find the extreme diversity, people from all over the world, with a different taste, different knowledge, different compositing technique, different storytelling method. This media is, at the end, it's a storytelling media. And so I can see phenomenal work, mind-blowing works actually, which I haven't seen in my last 20 years journey or 20 years journey, anything like that. It's really amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Guys, I'm really sorry if there's a lot of background noise. There's a lot of action happening down here at Xposure 2024. If you haven't visited yet, there's still today and tomorrow left. So make sure you come down and visit the Nikon stand. There's so many things to do here, and there's lots and lots of action. So if there is some background noise, it's because there's a lot going on. So don't miss out. Make sure you come down either today or tomorrow and visit the Nikon stand. Dilip, specifically about you, were you always into wildlife? Did it start with wildlife for you, or did you do other styles of photography as well?
When I learning time, I learned many aspects. No, I can't say all, because this is it's like ocean. Okay, I used to enjoy portrait. I used to do nature, landscape. I used to start as a landscape photographer. Then, while in the Middle East, I'm driving in the desert. I happened to see a lot of flock of birds flying in the desert from nowhere. That's where I really was curious to find out how come these birds in the desert. Then we have went to the office, the engineering office. We have access to all the Google. I was in oil and gas. I found a pond there, big pond, and then I found the track and went there, and thousands of birds there. So that was mind-blowing experience. That's probably changed my from a nature landscape photographer to a wildlife photographer from that moment.
But anyone who looks at your photos, it's funny you say you were doing landscape and portrait. Your wildlife photography is a combination of landscape and portraits. You've turned wildlife photography into portrait photography of wild animals, really. You're not just roaming around in the bush in Africa taking random photos. Your images are genuine portraits of animals. How do you find yourself in this position to take these incredible portrait shots of wild animals? It's it's not an accident.
Yeah, it's a knowledge, and I really owe thanks to all those helped me to learn. Photography is not about taking photos; it's about portrait, is the expressions and feelings and emotions. Okay, even let it be human or animal, they all have it. So that's what everyone need to try to focus on capturing at one stage. But you should have that vision. Then you definitely get to there. And landscape photography help you to learn all the composition rules. How does it work? Even if you work on black and white in images, when you start from there, how to create a contrast to the image, how composition element, dark objects in the foreground, add depth to it so all that come from that knowledge. And once you do you don't want too much close up of the animals, the storytelling images. For that, landscape knowledge really help anyone. If you master it, then you can never go wrong with the composition while in the
And
wild
I love
photography.
the way you bring in different styles of photography into wildlife. I think no matter what photography you do, you shouldn't close the door on if you're a landscape photographer, practice some portrait photography even in the studio, or if you're an architecture photographer, go and do some wildlife, because you can always learn different skills, and you never know when you'll bring those into whatever style that you do on a day-to-day basis. So I really love that approach. So Dilip, if you're heading out on a wildlife trip tomorrow to photograph some big cats in the Masai Mara, and you pick up your backpack, what have you got in your camera bag? What gears have you got with you all the time?
It's a good question. Many people ask what lens to carry, and so it's a question. Since I live there 24/7 and shoot there, my most used lens is 80-400 or 100-400 mm. That do like 95 to 98% of the shooting you could do with that one.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do birding, then you need a prime or 600 mm range you needed. Otherwise, that will do. Then, if you want some storytelling images, more closer, wide actually, then you can have 24-70.
Yeah.
This will do most of the job.
Yeah.
So for the wildlife, you don't need heavy gear, travel light.
Yeah.
Comfort.
Good. And what bodies are you using at the moment?
I like Z9 for its focusing speed and C8 tracking. Both are doing wonderful job.
Yeah.
Wonderful job, remarkable job. And we do a lot of night photography for the wildlife. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
You need to have subjects, you see a subject in action. And even these two bodies help a lot. You could, bump ISO to 2,000, 20,000, 40,000.
Yeah.
You get it, absolutely usable images.
Yeah. I think wildlife's one of those areas that really tests gears out. If you really want to test something out, go and do wildlife, because you're going to shoot in low light, you're going to shoot at fast shutter speeds, you're going to do all the things that in theory you can't do. With a camera.
Yes. Especially certain areas. I travel across the globe. I do expeditions many parts of the world. And one area, the most challenging in terms of lighting, is Papua.
Oh, really?
You do Papua.
Yeah.
So Papua, you have the magical birds of paradise.
Yeah.
You have 39 species of birds of paradise. They come and dance on the forest floor, where you get in the midday 3%, 4% of the daylight sunlight you get there.
Yeah.
So you are talking about 12 o'clock. You are shooting with ISO 18,000, shutter speed 60.
Wow.
Okay, that's mind blowing. That's very challenging for any camera equipment. And most of these birds are dark.
Yeah.
So focusing becomes really challenging.
Yeah.
And they are very sensitive to the sound. Yeah. So if you have a mirrorless camera of Z8 or Z9 caliber, motionless, high ISO, amazing focus tracking, the result, the game changer. It is. Because we used to suffer a lot. Otherwise.
So I think more than anyone, you've probably enjoyed the benefits as Nikon has continued just to step up with the mirrorless
I've been
bodies.
looking forward to eagerly, because sometimes you track very treacherous tracking. You do exhausting, then you spend the whole day there, and end of the day bird come for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The moment you click the shutter, the sound frighten the bird and fly away.
Yeah.
So I used to long for mirrorless camera good to come for that purpose. It meets a lot.
Yeah.
It matters a lot in the wildlife. A lot.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about composition again, because if anyone hasn't seen your social media pages and especially your Instagram pages, you've got some epic compositions and some epic framing. So I wanted to ask you about one in particular. I don't know if we can see that on the camera here. This one here, where we've got a mother lioness and a little lion cub in between her legs. You talked about storytelling a lot, and we've talked about composition. There's an element of vulnerability here of the cub, protection of the mother. It's just this perfect frame, and you've got quite a few images where you've used an animal to frame another animal. Is that something that just happens as you're taking photos, or are you trying to set these sort of shots up, or is it an element of both happening?
So we always try for such element, and a window inside and a frame inside the frame actually.
Yeah.
It has very much uniqueness, very much power, and in terms of the cats, even we think lions, the apex predator, they are fearless, but this shows as a species the cubs, the eagerness to sustain, the fear to sustain.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a message for all of us actually. We all have that, thrust within us to sustain in this planet, and so this is the typical behavior of the cubs. When they're introducing to the what they do, the female keep the cubs in the den for till they're at least few weeks, 1 month old, 1.5 month old. They get bit confidence to be introduced to the pride. So when they bring to the pride, this the cub is always fearful. Let it be other lions, let it be other animals, vehicle. So the first thing they do under the belly of mom. So I know it's with the behavior. You look at the eyes of the lion. You can see the fear in its eyes, seeing the people. But what mother trying to do actually to help them to overcome fear, it takes to the vehicle or other elements, safety element, take them there actually, then show them there's no harm. People are no harm actually. That's really, it's a part of complete big long story actually.
Yeah. And I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they, first go out and shoot wildlife is not being ready to take the shot, and then things happen and they're fiddling with settings and fiddling with their camera. What advice would you have to people if they're heading out on a game drive? It's their first time heading out. They've got their camera ready to go. Are you someone that likes to dial in some settings before you even, get to the animals and set up? Is that your technique?
See, that would not work actually. I always tell one thing: wildlife photography is often shooting what going to happen rather than what you see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that anticipation, that planning is always needed.
Yep.
So any circumstance when you get out, the ambient lighting.
Correct.
You set your camera for that one. Then what kind of subject you can come across, and any of them going to do action, then set up for that one.
Yeah.
That's very important to do that one, because in the nature things happen in a fraction of a second, and it's over blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So then you always miss that decisive moment.
And I mean, the great thing now is memory on cameras is relatively cheap. It's not like film. We can just take as many photos as we need, and the frame rate on the Nikon's ridiculous these days. So you can
20 frames is too much actually.
You can fill up your memory cards very quick now.
Yeah, very quickly. But you know that when the action happens, that moment you start clicking. You don't start clicking before going to happen. No, you know that precisely. Every animal give you that trigger actually.
Yeah.
When it's going to do. You just watch their body language. You know what it's going to do in the given time.
Yeah.
Even sometimes you can predict, even 2 hours in advance what they're going to do in a couple of hours time.
Yeah.
Especially cats, evenings. We know the sunset time, they are nocturnal animal. They have the instinct to move, climb the tree, check around for the prey and predator. So you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you keep your eye so high for that moment.
Yeah.
But other way you try to fiddle, the composition itself is challenging that time. So you try to fiddle setting, you are done.
Yeah. I mean, when you're explaining what you're doing, there's a lot of experience that's coming into this in terms of, an element of knowing what the animal or knowing to an extent what the animal is about to do from your experience. Would you recommend people, if they're wanting to go and do wildlife photography, to join someone like yourself on a tour rather than just venturing off by themselves? Because it sounds like if you want to get those really good shots, you need to really know not just what you're doing, but also what the environment's doing, what the animals are doing to get the shots that you're creating.
Yeah, that matters a lot. You don't have to reinvent the wheel basically.
Yeah.
Because learning curve is there. Because the time when I started, actually hardly anyone in this part of the world doing. 2005, 99 to 2000 I started learning. So I had to learn hard way, and many people like that hard way. But the one thing you find later on that if you have time for the learning curve, okay, you are not in a busy schedule. You are on out 365 days of exploring the nature. Then I suggest you, it will come naturally to you because this all there in our gene actually, get in the gene. You can start brushing up because certain rules, I happen to read like after 4 or 5 years, like a dozen rules. And when I look at actually all the different rules I follow naturally, except one because which I never could apply. So and so what does it tell you actually? This is not your knowledge.
Yeah.
This is from your gene actually, genetically knowledge. But you can cut short, and the people, and a lot of aspect there, photography, technical aspect, that if you go with a good mentor, somebody with a good experience, then that boosts your confidence immediately.
Yeah.
That you cut short your learning curve, by 4, 5, 6 years time. So that matters a lot.
Yeah, amazing. Something else that you're really well known for and renowned for is backlit wildlife photography as well. You've got some amazing images of big cats and other animals with incredible rim lighting. Can you talk us through your technique for creating these images as well?
Yeah, so see, first we need to understand why we do photography. We are so deeply connected with the nature and art genetically, okay? Whether your conscious mind is aware of it, but your subconscious mind and genes very much connected. And that's what all of us need to see, good artwork that bring a lot of good emotions, and it reduces our pressure. All this modern life pressure, we can get rid of it. So painting with the light and shade is all about photography. And when you are able to do that, you can find that ultimate, happiness you're getting from that creation. And once you create I'm sure that's over, then you need to move to the next type of frames. And how you get the rim light photos, there are a few ingredients you need to consider. First, the sun angle, you have to have it by 5 degree to 10 degree.
Yep.
Okay, on the horizon, lower horizon, either in the early morning or the late evening.
Yep.
That angle has to be very precise. Then second part, you need to have subject in the middle of you and sun.
Yes.
Okay, so you wait for that composition, subject to walk in, and like 5 degree or 10 degree from subject approaching, you start clicking. Then the moment it intersects with the sun, that's where you get the face part and back part all lit. The moment it passes the head side, nose and all, you may not get the rim light, and a little away, then so either back or front you lose it. So that's the only way you can get it. Wait for that moment and keep exposure compensation. You shoot aperture priority, exposure compensation -2, so that you won't blonde the highlights on the fur. If you lose it, that lost. Then in the post processing, there's something you have to do. You work on the mid tones, you tone it down. Okay, all the mid tones. Then highlight, you push it if needed. Some area needed selective, you push it. So you get that perfect rim light, and that's something an excellent artwork.
You guys have the benefit of being able to write all this down. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it again to make sure I can get all those tips and tricks. The last thing I wanted to ask you about is the element of conservation as well. You're really tying in your love of photography and your skills in photography and your visual storytelling to a conservation element. Firstly, how important do you think that is, and what can other amateur photographers do to increase their, sharing of conservation to their audiences?
See, we live city life or modern life. We think we are not part of nature, but we are Homo sapiens species, another species there. Okay, we are integral part of nature, and even the modern science says actually we are cavemen by heart and brain. Whatever cavemen used to do is that also we needed for our ultimate happiness, for the mental or physical. That's what we needed. So when we see the degradation of our ecosystem, and we part of the wild nature. So people who ask me about my journey, even you asked initially, my journey is about back to the roots and past. Okay, from the modern life back to the roots, and with the purpose of whatever the remaining wildlife is for the entire human race. We all have equal responsibility to conserve for the generations to come.
Yeah.
So many parts of the world, we have killed them, we have finished them. Let it be hobby hunting or trophy hunting, whatever we call it, we finish them. So wherever remaining, we all have the responsibility to give to our future generations to come.
Yeah.
And your photos, help many people to connect with the nature, understand them. So the moment you take a photo and share it in any platform, let it be so okay. Sometime often it will be a photographer's platform, they always see. It won't do much, but you go to other platform, you take exhibition to schools, connecting with the kids to the nature, okay, all that really work. Also, there are a lot of magazine publications happening, conservation articles. If your image can contribute for that one, And that also really you indirectly you support conservation.
Yeah.
And when you travel to an ecosystem where it's in underdeveloped countries or developing countries, you give an economic reason for the local community to sustain that one. So all that way you support one way or the way conservation.
Yeah. It's always one of the things I love at Xposure here. There's an element of conservation in a lot of the exhibitions.
Yeah, I could see
and
that
I
one.
personally find them really inspiring.
Yeah, even me too. I didn't expect
I want to go
that.
out and
Yeah.
take similar sorts of photos. There's some amazing exhibitions. So, Dilip, thank you so much for joining us in Frame by Frame. And guys, I hope you learned. I know I learned a lot from that. I hope you learned a lot from as well, and it inspired you to go out and take better photos and better wildlife photos and share an element of conservation as well.
Reconnect with the nature. That's
Yeah,
what
100%.
basically. I always tell it's the third eye. Camera help you to open your third eye. Things you see regularly, but you don't see. You go without observing it. Camera helps you to see that one. That's what made me a conservationist later on in my life.
So Dilip, thank you so much.
My
and to the rest
pleasure.
of you, we'll see you soon again on the next episode of Frame by Frame. Thanks a lot.